My name is Moniquea, and I am a modern funk artist, but beyond that, I am just an artist. So I sing modern funk, I write it, and I enjoy it. It's a live situation when I'm behind a microphone, so that's what I'm about. Yeah, I started because of my mother. She had a group when I was younger, about 7 years old. The group was called The Roses, and it consisted of her, along with her sister, a cousin, and 3 family friends. And I would just watch their rehearsals when I was younger. And so I think I was bit by that bug immediately. The moment that I saw them rehearsing and singing, I was like, I know that this is something that I just want to do. So it was an immediate attraction for me, just to delve right into it. And from there, I think it really got started when I was in about like the 10th grade. So I was about 16 or 17 years old, and I would enter like talent shows in Pasadena, where I am from, and I would win the talent shows, so it encouraged me more to continue. And I would even enter pageants. My mother, she insisted that I did, and I was mostly wanted to be a part of the pageants just so that I could display my love for singing. So it started there. I've done a whole bunch of shows from there. There must be hundreds. I can't even tell you how many anymore. But my real first recording was probably when I was about 15 years old. And from there, it just continued. And I released my first album in 2011. I had recorded it in 2006, and I had to save all of my money to actually put it out. So it took actually 5 years for me to put it out. And that first CD was called Moniquea, and it was like me introducing myself to beyond people that could just see me. It was actually recorded on CD for me to actually sell and get people into me beyond just like, friends and family. So, and then from there, I got with XL Middleton, and we put out my second album, Yes, No, Maybe. And that really helped introduce me to the modern funk world, and actually to the world wide. That's how people got to know about me, through that first record, which was produced mostly by XL Middleton, and also we wrote a lot together on that album. And from there came some other appearances with other people, and then shortly after that, maybe a few singles were released, and then came Black Wave Funk. So, and now, that's part of my journey. It's a long journey, and it's still going. And at this point right now, I'm working on my G-Funk album, which is set to be released really, really soon. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, it truly started from, again, I have to bring my mother back into the story, because it was soul music. There really wasn't a genre that I knew called funk when I was growing up, but I know that modern funk came from, soul music. Aretha Franklin, people like that, they didn't call it funk. People like Gladys Knight, so those influences came into our world that we know as modern funk. So I know that it came from something that was here way before us, and it's now an interpretation from what we learned, what we heard back in those 80s. And so I think now it's just an interpretation of the way that we express ourselves through what we learned. But also there's also a rap factor that is, to me, that belongs to modern funk, and that is because a lot of rappers, including DJ Quick himself, had that influence, that very influence that I'm talking about from the 80s, and he started incorporating it into his music, which was that West Coast sound. So that's why we have like this West Coast funk sound that is also, to me, a very, very close resemblance of what modern funk is today. So yeah, the influence is wide, but it started from the 80s well into the 90s to mid 90s, and then it paused, and then here we are back at it. And I do want to give credit to Dame Funk, who's also, well, to me, he's the pioneer, and he helped this music to flourish and give other artists, you know, like myself, that opportunity to express what we think modern funk is. So yeah, I am working with XL Middleton. There are others that I'm working with, and that I've worked with in the past, including Turquoise Summers. He appeared on my Black Wave Funk album. I'm working with I Said, who is also coming aboard the Mo Funk family. I have worked with a number of people. David Silverman, who's also known as DJ Ghost. He's a really good friend. I've released a song with him, and I'm working on something actually new with him that I'm excited about. The Austin Boogie Crew Records DJ, or I should just say Spence and I got together and put out a record earlier this year, which I'm very proud of. So, and there's more to come. There's more to come, but that's just to name a few. The process for me, sometimes, mostly I should say, the music is born first, and then the track is given over to me. And from there, I'm probably listening for a few days maybe, but sometimes it hits me right away, and I could end up writing a song within hours, you know. So also, I guess it's funny because a lot of my writing comes to me when I'm in the car, because I have the track just going and going, and I don't know why, but for some reason I find myself writing mostly when I'm in the car. Sometimes I have melodies in my mind that come, and I might go to XL Middleton and like, listen, I have this melody in my mind, and I wonder if you could build a track around it. A classic song, or just to give you an idea, there was a song on my Black Wave Funk album, and it's a slower jam, but it still has a groove to it. It's called I Just Don't Know. And that song was built by a melody. The melody was born first with me, and then I gave it to XL, and he built the most beautiful music around it. So there's no wrong or right with me, and there is never a specific process. But if there's something that I can say is that usually the music is born first, unless something pops in my head, which it does happen often, but I have a lot of songs that are just melodies right now that I'm hopeful someday that the music will come alive to accompany it. But yeah, that's usually the process for me. Most of my music is, and most of my writing is really based on love. I love love, and so I write about it all the time. I sing about it all the time, and it could come from my own experience, or it might come from an experience that a friend might have shared with me. So yeah, I think that that's always usually the basis of my music. Oftentimes, or I should say lately, I've been really influenced about uplifting people. So there's a few songs that I've written, in case in point, this new song that I'm working on with DJ Ghost. It's a really uplifting song, but it's still funky and it's still got a groove to it. But there is a message, and it wasn't purposely done, but it was just the way that I was feeling, and I felt like it was time for me to express myself outside of love. But I think uplifting people is a part of love, so it doesn't have to be love between, a relationship in terms of, being with a significant other. It could also be love through, friendships or just trying to encourage somebody. So I've stepped into that realm very recently and wanting to express myself because of the temperature that we're in right now in this world. And everybody's seeming to be so kind of like out for themselves that they might forget about what their friend or what their loved one might need, which is, I think, encouragement to tell them to carry on. It's going to be okay. And it doesn't mean that you can't get down to it, but maybe sometimes when you're not able to dance, you might want to just sit back and just chill. Then maybe those words that I'm thinking of or that I wrote about could help, could help you move on or carry on or encourage you to keep going, so yeah. I connect with dancers right away because I love dancing, and that's something that I incorporate in my live performances because my body won't let me not dance. So whether I'm singing or listening to it, I'm dancing. So I discovered that I had a connection with the dancers almost immediately. I feel like that the words that I'm saying beyond the music connects with them. So I don't know, it's kind of like this marriage. It's not on purpose or anything like that. It's just something that is just really organically that's happening. Whenever I'm out and about, whether it's here in the US or gratefully in Europe or somewhere, and recently in Japan, if I connect with a dancer when I'm on stage, it's hard for me to like look away from that one person because I know that we've connected. And so now it's like I'm performing for just this one dancer that I connected with, unless of course somebody slides in and I can connect with the next dancer. But yeah, I have a close relationship, and as we were discussing earlier, it's really I don't think that music can be anything without a dancer, and it can't be anything without anyone to listen to it. And I don't really care what the vibe is in terms of BPMs or anything like that. It's just a feeling, and I think that it's something that nobody can escape from. If you're into music the way that a singer and a dancer is, then it's just a natural thing to connect. So me and dancers, we're good. There's not a lot, especially here in terms of modern funk. There's a bunch of singers, but there's not very many on the scene or in our scene specifically. Unfortunately, I would love for there to be more, but I'm not sure that it has caught up with these people who could be a little bit younger. I think it's going that route, but I just don't know of many at the current moment, and again, that's unfortunate. But when you talk about outside of California, in the U.S., we have a lady out of Chicago, Amalia out of Toronto. I guess that isn't the U.S., but all the same, we're so small that I can't even pull out a lot of names to throw at you. As far as my appreciation, I think I'm fully appreciated by my audience that I have. As far as my fellow artists, I do believe that I am appreciated, but I think that there might be a disconnect only because it's me, and there's not a lot. So there's a domination, and I don't think that it's purposely done, but the fact is, it's like, there's not a whole lot of me, so we can appreciate you and we appreciate what you're doing, but it's a hard kind of a thing to carry when you're alone, And when I say alone, I just do mean that there's just not a whole lot of us. But as far as appreciation, I do feel appreciated, and I feel grateful to be a part of this scene, because there is just no way that I wouldn't be. Kind of like connecting the dots where we said connecting with the dancer, I connect with this music. So if it should only be me and a handful of others, then so be it. But I can't not offer my interpretation of this sound. I can actually relate to that, and I'm glad you elaborated on that, because there is that disconnect, and there is, I wouldn't call it an issue, but there is a concern about it, because I don't need to be categorized as far as like you're a woman and you're good for being a woman. I appreciate what you have to offer as a woman. I don't think that my music, and I don't think that dancers should be placed in the category of male, female. You know, it's just what's good is good. So you just got to respect what it is. And, you know, sometimes I wonder if, you know, maybe I can't get booked for something sometimes because, you know, she'll be the only woman, you know, and maybe that highlight is just too bright. You know, maybe you might look like you're like the star or something, which that's nothing that I'm ever trying to be. But I want this to be an inclusive thing where it has nothing to do with being a woman. But there is a definite thing that I see, whether it comes in dancing, in singing, DJing, because just like dancers, women DJs, there's very little, you know, and there's very little when it comes down to modern funk, just to get back on that subject matter of like it being such a small percentage of women, which is why I couldn't pull a whole lot of people out of my hat when you asked me how many people here in California, the US, that are singers that are doing modern funk. It's like not many, you know, so that's a lot to carry for me. But like I said, I'm really up for it. But do I feel it sometimes? Yes, I do. And then there's also a lot of modern funk artists that are not even singers at all. They are great producers that produce great music, but they don't have any vocals. So I also feel sometimes it's like, yeah, that's cool, but we want to hear the instrumentals. So because of that, it is also something that I have to deal with as well. It's really dominated in terms of modern funk by instrumentals, and we love music, it's okay, but I'm a singer, so a lot of times there's a lot of instrumentals that a lot of these producers have released, and I'm like, ooh, I could like sing something on that thing. Like I would love to take so many of these modern funk songs that have been produced and actually lay some vocals on top of them. But you know, maybe that day will come someday. I have a dream about, you know, taking some of these songs and just recording and then flying them over to the producers and saying to them, what do you think about this? You know, so you'll have them both now. You have your instrumental, but you also have your vocal to this instrumental that you created that I think is beautiful. So beautiful that I wanted to write to. But you know, it's a tough role for me, but it's a challenge that I'm all too glad to come up to and pursue. So that's why it's always just a beginning for me. Like every new record is like a beginning for me. Every new song is a beginning for me. My music is of course available on mofunkrecords.com. You can also get it from all of your digital outlets, you know, iTunes, Spotify, whatever your favorite, you know, digital outlet is, you can go there. It's always available you know, through the tangible, which is, of course, vinyl for all of our vinyl freaks out there. But a lot of us aren't there yet, so that's why the digital outlets are important. So mofunkrecords.com, Moniquea.com. You might want to get a little snippet of something that you can hear on my IG, which is Moniquea and the number 1. I also have videos available on YouTube if you want to check it out visually and plus listen to it. So you can look me up, Moniquea, for those who don't know how to spell it. But yeah, we all over the place. So Vera and Jenny, I thank you. My first shout out belongs to you for inviting me to be a part of this special project. I think it's amazing. And of course, I want to give a shout out to XL Middleton. I want to give a shout out to I Said. I want to give a shout out to Spence, DJ Ghost, Zachy Force Funk. And you know what? There is no way in the world that I would not shut this down without giving a shout out to Kid Boogie. Love him so much. Butter. And just every single funkster or aspiring funkster, come on in. The water's nice.